a Ferrari. It says so on the front and everything. It is a real Ferrari. It is made in Italy. It is not a sports car. It's from their tractor division. So this is going to be a four-wheel drive, V8 powered Ferrari tractor, and we're going to take it for a spin. Let me give you a hint. It's junk. So we're going to be driving junk again. Here is the top side of the Ferrari. Notice the smooth Italian styling. Ferraris are always known for their sleek lines. This one, I believe that's a 45-degree angle. Okay, we've got the Ferrari tractor on the lift, and it's time to take a look at it. You have this beautiful heavy-duty tractor drivetrain, fully articulated, four-wheel drive, hydraulic steering, locking differentials, all that good stuff. And then someone took out the nice four-cylinder diesel that used to be here and added a 318. And they didn't do it well. In order to add this 318, they took the frame, torched it, moved it outboard and widened the entire thing. They made their own adapter plate between the motor and transmission, torched cut out of steel. As you notice, the ring gear is completely exposed to the elements. And elements there are because, as you can see by the oil pan, that's severely dented. You also might notice there's a little trail of antifreeze right there leading upwards. Which brings us to another issue. A trail of antifreeze leading up to a welded block. You also have homemade motor mounts, which aren't that bad. Could be done a little better, but they work. Again, on the other side, we have the frame was torched in a half, widened to fit the motor. No more homemade motor mounts. The exhaust is touching the oil pan. It's got a little bit of a piece of metal around it for a heat shield. Pipes dented in. All going to this welded up steel box, which appears to somewhat act as a muffler, and point the exhaust up into the wheel well. It exits at the bottom here. An interesting pattern drilled. Now this wasn't factory. Someone drilled all those holes in to add cooling because, well, when you stuff a V8 in place of a four-cylinder, it's not going to cool that well. We have an added cross member here from where they widened the frame, and that is bent, so obviously it's hit something. You can see this hitch. Someone pulled something fairly heavy backwards with it because it's actually pulling out part of the frame there. We have the brake cylinder, which, yeah, that doesn't work. I took it apart. It was full of powdery aluminum corrosion type stuff, and I just put it back together. However, we do have brakes. There's an emergency brake on this one. The emergency brake is a lever which goes through a cable, connects to a crank, and pulls two rods that actually operate the brakes. Now, normally this is fairly a reasonable way to do it. The problem is, seeing how the chassis articulates, that part of the frame and that part rotate in different directions, changing the tension on this cable. So depending on what you're driving over, it changes the braking and whether or not you have some, or whether the brakes are just on anyway. The tires, since this is about an 80s model, they're probably less than 40 years old, and they don't look that bad, and all of them hold air, which is unusual for me. And as you can see, there's not much room for accessories. The alternator's been crammed way over to the side with flimsy extension brackets and can't actually tighten up a belt on it at all. The power steering pump, which is necessary for the hydraulic steering, isn't there. They put it here, right behind the pedals. We have the fancy ignition switch, on off, choke next to it, starter button right below. The wiring, as you can see, was professionally done. No problems there. The bell housing adapter, obvious torch cut lines. The welded together bell housing, homemade. We have an interesting selection of gears. We have, as you'd expect, one shift lever that does 4 gears. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 gears go the same direction, usually. Right here, you have what would be a transfer case lever. It goes from high, low, reverse. Nope, that's not neutral in the middle, that's reverse. And you know how I mentioned that the shift lever gives you 4 gears? It does give you 4 gears forward. In reverse, you get 3 gears and then another forward gear. That's right, you row through the gears, you go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going the other direction with the next position. Over here, we have a lever that shifts to 4-wheel drive, and this also locks the differentials, which is nice. Unlike a lot of vehicles that I have, this does have a fuel pump, and it does work properly like it's supposed to. However, there's no tank, at least not mounted to the vehicle. Here we go. Yeah, it's a motorcycle tank in the passenger footwell. So, it is convenient for the passenger to be able to fill up the gas while you drive. It does have a convenient shutoff, which is nice. Other than that, not really the best solution, but it works. Okay, let's see about driving this thing. good day driving junk.